Episode 1 of the journey to my first real estate investment starts now. Hey guys, how's it going? My name's JJ and welcome back to another video. So like I was saying, this is my first video documenting my journey to buying my first real estate investment. So if you guys didn't see my previous video, I'm actually gonna be filming my journey from start to finish of buying my first rental property. I'm gonna be showing you guys how I'm analyzing properties, what types of properties I'm wanting to look for my first rental investment. And I'm also gonna be showing you what I'm looking for in a property or reasoning why I am not purchasing a property. So with that being said, I wanna leave here, I wanna jump onto the computer and I wanna show you guys my Excel spreadsheet that I have set up that I use personally to analyze real estate investments. If you guys would be interested in this spreadsheet, I have it for sale. You can find information about how you can get that linked down in the description. The spreadsheet is on sale for only $3. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send me an email. That's linked down in the description also. So without further ado, let's jump over to the computer. Okay, so this is the most recent property that my property manager slash real estate agent went to look for me. So quick backstory, I'm on the east side of Missouri. That's where I permanently live. My real estate and property manager, she is in Kansas City area. That is the focal point that I am looking to start my investing career in real estate. I'm familiar with there. My wife and I lived out there for a few years, so I know the area. I know what areas I want to invest. I know the areas that I can get the highest cash flow in. So it's good to, you don't have to invest in an area you're familiar with, but it definitely does help. So again, this is the most recent property I had her go look at for me. So let's take a quick look at that. It's, like I said, it's in Kansas City, Missouri. It's a 3-bed, 1-bath, 1,100 square feet. So she looked at this Friday. They were asking $82,000. I ran it through my analysis spreadsheet, and I'll show you guys that in a quick second, how I do that. It came out cash flow positive. So I was interested. I told her to go take a look at it for me and see if it was something that I wanted to make an offer on. And I mean, you can tell these are, it's not the most fantastic home, but that's not what you're looking for in an area that's going to cash flow, a decent amount of money. So I mean, this is the exterior right here. It's just a 1-car attached garage, your typical ranch home. And then it's, it's decently updated inside. There's not much work that needs to be done. So yeah, she took a look at this for me because I ran it through my spreadsheet, and that is what I want to go through now with you guys and show you how I am analyzing these properties. So I start with the purchase price. The purchase price on that house was $82,000. My estimated closing cost is going to be roughly around $4,000, changes here or there, but that's typically what I use. So for this property in this area of Kansas City, I was estimating that I was going to get a rent per month of $850, which my property manager, who she manages a shit ton of properties over in Kansas City, she thinks I could get anywhere from $900 to $950 with this property. But let's start with the lowest because I love to be conservative, and any extra amount of money you make in rent per month, that's just extra butter on the bread. If that's even a saying, I don't know. So what I do for property tax, okay, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here. So yeah, like I said, I'll place my rent here in this line item, which I have all the line items listed below, so it's real easy to follow. All the grayed out boxes, those are equations, so you don't fill anything in there, they automatically get populated. So the property tax annually, what I do for that is I go back to Zillow, and on Zillow you can go down to price tax history. You click tax history and it shows for the recent years what they paid in taxes. $788, so I'll just round it up and say $800. So let's type $800 into there. For insurance, you can either call your insurance company and get a quote. I know roughly what this is going to cost me. I've already talked to my insurance. I just like to put in $1,000. And then for vacancy, repairs, maintenance, and CapEx. So this is really important for you new first-time investors like I am. You need to make sure that you are accounting for vacancy, repairs, maintenance, and CapEx. expenditures, because if you don't have this accounted for, you know, where is the money going to come from whenever there is a maintenance problem, or whenever you have a month or two go that's not rented and you have to pay the mortgage. So what I do is I take out 7% of my rent check for each line item for vacancy, repairs, and CapEx. What CapEx is are your large expenditures, so like your AC unit goes out, or you need to replace a roof or something like that. So that's what the CapEx, line item is for. And then PM stands for property manager. That is what I pay my property manager to run this property for me. So that is what those line items are for. So basically what I'm doing is I'm taking 21% off the top already each month of my rent check that I will put into savings and use it as an emergency fund. Once that emergency fund is filled up, then I can be using this money right here, you know, which totals around almost $180. That's just extra money. And, you know, I mean, that's extra cash flow that I can keep every month. So an extra cash flow of $180. So anyways, as you can see, the monthly cash flow after taking all these expenses into account comes out to be $81.03. That gives me a almost nearly 5% cash flow return. So I wasn't too thrilled about these numbers. You know, it's not too exciting. There's better out there. So when she told me I could get around 9 to 950, I plugged that in. Let's plug in 950 and see what happens there. See, I mean, that jumps up to a 9% cash flow, or I'm sorry, a 9% cash on cash return and a $152 monthly cash flow. For those of you that do not know what cash on cash return is, what that is, it's simply the return on your investment of the initial cash that you invested. So you go up here, my total cash that I'm gonna have to put in to own this property is $20,400. It's, you know, that's my 20% down payment plus my $4,000 in closing costs. You know, if I would need to do any rehab, which just looking at this property, there wasn't anything needed right away. So I have that as zero. But then that cash on cash return down here, what that does is that gives you your percentage of your total annual cash flow with taking into account the total cash down that you have. So like I said, it's the total return that you have on your initial cash invested. So looking at these numbers, you know, they're not the greatest, but they are definitely, you know, extra $150 a month. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't mind having that coming in. I like to look at properties, anything over 6% cash on cash return. So that's why I text my realtor. I said, hey, Teresa, do you mind going to take a look at this? So she went over there that day, took a look at it for me, and I will put the pictures up here now. But she sent me these pictures, and they were of the foundation down in the basement. And as you can see right now, you know, there's some large cracks in there. And then also there's a picture that a portion of the wall down in the basement was actually caving in. So for me as a first-time investor, I don't want to personally have to deal with anything that has, you know, large structural issues. Now a couple minor cracks here or there in a basement I'm okay with, but when you got walls starting to cave in and stuff like that, I mean, that just sounds like a bunch of money that's going to be coming out of your pocket. So her and I both decided that this is a property that, you know, that I was not best for me. You know, again, like I said, as a first-time investor, she and I both think there are better deals out there to be made. So we decided to not move further along in this property. But yeah, that's pretty much the process that I go through, guys. You know, when I'm looking at properties, I'll run through the spreadsheet real quick. I mean, honestly, it takes me, you know, a couple seconds to fill this out. Some people like to use like the 1% rule, to where you should be, you know, be able to rent out a home for 1% of the total property's value or what you purchase it for. I just personally like to use the spreadsheet a little bit more because, you know, I can get into the numbers a little bit more than maybe just a typical 1% rule would do. So that is it for today's video, guys. If you stuck around, I really do appreciate it. If you guys want me to post more videos of me analyzing properties, I will be more than happy to do that. Let me know down in the comment section down below. I will be definitely posting the property that I end up purchasing on here, me analyzing. I'm going to show you guys the exact numbers that I budgeted for, and then whenever I purchase a property and I finally close on it and my rent checks start coming in, I'm going to run through those numbers with you all to show you how my spreadsheet held up against what I was thinking to what I'm actually getting from the property as an investment. So if you guys are interested in that, stick around, hit that subscribe button to follow the journey. I look forward to seeing you guys in the comment section. So until next time, you guys take care.